This is midlife crisis. Put a little bit of, ow, sweet. They could just get a jet boil, let's be honest. You're freaking joking me. What the f? This moment is why I am out here. It's still a bit cold. I think the rain has gone. The wind is still there. The wind will drop down. The sun will go down. It's about to get cold. Had a beer already. Always make sure that I process the beer. Process the beer. I process that very well, but I process my wood before I really start getting any drinks in me. Right, so I'll get the fire going. If it works, then I'll show this clip of video. But it is a beautiful night. This is midlife crisis. If this is midlife crisis, then bring it on. I don't care. I love this. I look like a knob. Whatever. I don't care. I'm past caring about things like that. I don't care what you think. I don't care how many thumbs downs you give me. I don't care. You can give me all the thumbs downs you want. I'm still out here doing it. I'm still going to keep coming out here and doing it. I'm still going to dress in my long johns and my white socks. Bloody hell, this thing goes up quick. This stuff, so this old pine that just sits around, all the branches that have been cut down and left once they take the main trunk, it just goes up like so. The two mugs that I use are it's a Tokes. It's titanium. Titanium's okay on fire, I think. Titanium frying pans are rubbish. You put them on a gas stove and they just burn all at the bottom. They're crap. If you want to cook on a frying pan, then I'll get steel or cast iron, which is what I've got. But for doing this, because the heat gets all around, you can just stick this by the side of the fire and it'll just heat up. So anyway, so that's a Tokes 750, and I got a 550. No, it's Tokes 900, and then the 550, which is kind of like a mug, and you can fit a 100 gram gas cylinder in there. So the Tokes 550 in its little bag, slots inside, and it's a really nice little combination. So I got this off a guy called Hayes Outdoors. So if you want to watch a video about this sort of thing, then watch him. He's funny as hell. He's a northerner. But never mind, he's really funny and he has an amazing YouTube channel. So yeah, so this combination works well. I've got the 1100 as well, and then I've got a 750 from, I don't know where that's from. So tonight I'm having chili con carne with some rice, and then I've got some jumbo peanuts, salted, because I think my salt levels were low today, so I'll get those back up. And I've got half a bottle of wine left, and a glorious evening. A little bit of firewood, but I'm not going to do loads of big, too long. I've got some more over there which I'll chuck on later on, but yeah, this is perfect. And tomorrow I've got no idea where I'm going to be sleeping tomorrow. I'll do a little bit of planning tonight and work out what my plan is. But yeah, finish a wine, have a hot chocolate, and so tonight's meal is chili con carne. Adventure Foods chili con carne with a little bit of rice, or quite a lot of rice, and that will fuel me tomorrow. How do I do the washing up? Well, all I do, I get some lake water, put a little bit of, ow, it's bloody hot. Too much wine. Yeah, I like to cool down a little bit. So put some water in, put a little bit of fairy liquid in. So I carry a little thing of fairy liquid. I normally carry a little thing of oil as well, but I didn't bring any oil this time. And then I'll stick it on the fire and let it heat up, and then I'm gonna have to let it cool down, and then I'll give it a clean out and sort of wash everything. And I'll stick it back on the fire to dry a little bit. I can't believe anyone is still watching this. I like bikepacking where you go and do Airbnb and things like that, but I prefer doing this. I get more life benefit, I think, from doing this than I do going and Airbnb and staying somewhere. Depends what you're into. If you're more into the sort of roadie wear life, then I think this is probably not for you. But if you're more about the adventure side of it rather than the bike side of it, then yeah, this may be for you. Yeah, so like, subscribe. I wouldn't hit the bell notification, that's just annoying. I'm just gonna finish this wine off and get in the sack. See you in the morning. Sweet. There are many good ways to wake up in the morning, and this is one of them. Well, another great night's sleep. I sleep like a baby in these things. Yep, so right, what I've got left is get up. I might stay here for a little bit, have a coffee, get some breakfast on. I've got to do my morning constitutional, which means because I'm next to a reservoir, I'm going to have to hoof it right into the forest and start digging. Tidy up the fire, get rid of all that evidence of all that as best I can. I think I can get rid of most of it. And then it's going to be a slow pack up, and if I can be out of here by 9:30, that'd be great. It's now about 7ish, so I've got ages. So I'm just going to lie here and just enjoy being here for a little bit. Oh, I'll get those in there in my pockets. So just starting to pack up, get my breakfast and a coffee, then I'll have a wash. I don't think I'm going for a swim, but I will go in there and give myself a dough beat. Right, well, that's how to do a lazy start. Leave no trace and got my tree straps. That is serious rapids. Those guys got to be nuts. The rolling hills. Quite a nice river valley, but the river is going the other way to me, which means I'm gently going up. Although I would never notice that because the amount of time I'm spending climbing makes no difference. And talking of climbing and weight and let's talk about water. Yeah, so water, I've completely either do one or the other, take a water filter or carry lots of water. So I'm carrying 1.3 litres on the down tube. I'm then carrying two 750ml bottles, and then in my rucksack, just in case I fall off and need water, I'm carrying more water. And that water on the down tube, that 1.3 or 1.4 litres, I haven't used it once. And then not only all of this, I just went into a shop because there was no cafe to ask them to fill up my water. Went to a shop and bought £1.60's worth of water. When I have water, and I have a water filter, and there's a stream here, and I've just been at a reservoir. So that's lesson number one. And in fact, what I'll do over the next few miles, rest of the day, I will go through all the other little lessons. I'll give you another one in a minute, but first of all, I'm going to have some pie. Not something I need any more of, but that's what they seem to sell around here, pies. So pies and some crisps, not the most healthy. I was going to talk about the bags and the kit that I've taken. I think I've got a third. I could cut my weight by a third. Start off at the back. The food I could take a little bit less and try and buy some, but my food I think is all okay. My pots and pans, great, utensils, all fine. But the cook set, I wouldn't take that multi-fuel stove. I would just take a gas canister with a normal burner on the top, my MSR pocket rocket, and then I would probably take an alcohol system as well as a backup, but not a lot of fuel at all really. Just something to so that if anything on the gas was broken, then I could just do that. And of course you can always light a fire if there's somewhere safe to do it, and have a fire like I did last night. So that multi-fuel, I think that's great if you're going to be high altitude, it's going to be particularly cold, or you're going for a long time, like that guy walking up to Cape Wrath. Then I probably would take that because that gives you loads more options. But not bike packing. I just don't think it's a complete overkill. In here I've got the tent, and I've got my summer blow-up pad, and then I've got a bag of things, and the bag of things is for hammocks, extra long straps, tying tarps, some extra cordage, all that sort of stuff. So I would take that, although I might thin that down a little bit, but I wouldn't take the tent. There'd be no need for the tent. Now if I was going to spend a lot more time up on the high ground, then I think I would take the tent. Yeah, I would take a tent. In the winter it's nice to take a bivvy if you're just going for a couple of days, but you can't live in a bivvy, you can't sort your kit out, and you've got to pitch your tarp and so on. So bivvies are good for a certain thing, like if you're going to climb a mountain and sleep on top of that. But if you need to live and sort your kit out, then I would take a tent. I'll take a 2-man tent. The hammock is fine for this sort of area, it's absolutely fine. So I've got no issues with my hammock, and that's what I've been using. And as long as you plan and work out where you're going to go, and importantly where you're not going to be camping for the night, then I think a hammock can work. I mean, there's I can hammock camp anywhere here, but there are definitely some places that you can't do it. So if you're going to go on the high ground where there are fir trees, it's just not a player, and I'll be taking a tent. But I would only take one system next and just stick with that and plan my route based on that. So here I've got my deep spares. So in here I've got all spares. So I've got 2 inner tubes plus sealant, which is overkill. So I think I'd just ignore the sealant, just take 2 inner tubes. I've got a pump in there. I've got some tools and things like that, a bag of tools and chain lube and all that sort of stuff. And then I've got this other bag here, which is my deep spares. So this is derailleur hangers, all that sort of stuff. I may have taken do I just bin that and take the risk? But anyway, I got it. But it is very heavy. Water is obviously a big issue. Yeah, that water's down there. Yeah, I would take that because that is pretty good and it fits in there quite nicely down there. And I'd only take one of these. I wouldn't take anything. I will take one of these. I'll put it in my rucksack and I'll have these 2 feeders as just for food and stuff and just things that are easy to get hold of. This here has just got my two spare batteries, and my towel goes in here, which is weird. Well, I've just taken that out. I don't know where I put it. Yeah, complete misappropriation, misuse of a bag there. Either get rid of it or do something else. Electronics, cameras and such in there. I'd only take 1 head unit. All I've used is the Edge. I haven't used this one at all. It's just sat there doing sweet FA. In the front, in roll bags, on the forks, on one side I've got my evening clothing, just to have a change of clothes. I think is really important in the evenings. And then on the other side is spare clothing, and I keep that because that's 2 kilograms of weight, up to 2 kilograms of weight on a normal set of forks. But I think these can take 2.5 or 3 kilograms, but I like keeping it lightweight on there. And then in here, yeah, like I say, it's my hammock setup, which has been really good. I wouldn't change anything about that. It's been a really good system. What I'll probably do is take the hammock out of there and I'll stick the hammock on here because I don't need a tent or anything else or anything like that. So yeah, I reckon I could lose 1/3 of the weight. And then in the backpack here, I really like a rucksack, but in the rucksack I would have your sort of emergency stuff if you fall off. So you've got some basic survival stuff with you. Plus, I like to be able to just get off my bike and walk away, and if my bike suddenly got nicked or taken or whatever while I was in the shop, then in my rucksack is everything I need to get me home. So just some leggings, waterproofs, wallet, just the basics that you would need to walk or whatever you need to do to get home without the bike. I think this is called a stick up. I might be able to sneak through before anyone notices. I don't think they can see through their hair. I might be invisible to them. You look beautiful, aren't you? Beautiful. Look at you. Yeah, so I'm actually getting quite knackered now. It's 2:45. I reckon I've got 16 miles left to go, and I'm not moving fast. I'll be really honest. My legs are a bit taken out. That bit there was about 15 miles, and it was relentless up and down, and it just never stopped. So now I'm onto this, and then onto the road, which will be a bit flatter. So I'm just hoping I can just hold my pace to get in before 6 o'clock. Well, I should be able to do quite comfortably, really. Even if I just do 5 miles an hour average, I'll still be there okay. So I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to get my head down and get on with it. You bugger. I'm not lifting it. I can't lift my bike over that. No, I can't lift my bike over that. I know my limits. I'm gonna have to double back about 3 miles back that way and then back onto the main road and hit the main road. Man, you look Scottish, aren't you, eh? You are the epitome of a Scottish bull. Haven't made a video in a while because I've been head down. So today so far has been 41 miles and much of that has been up and down. First gear, top gear, bottom gear, top gear with this weight. Right, this will do. This will do. So this is a valley that I'm basically heading down for about 12 odd miles, and then I turn and head back down towards the car, but I'm not doing that tonight. I'm too knackered. Turn that off. Oh, I really am too knackered, and I want to go by the river. And now a tent is an option, or a hammock over there. Okay, I got my pitch sorted. I went for the tent in the end actually, so I went for this pitch in and around the trees. Yeah, it just started to rain, so I did set off down there, and I got about a mile down there just looking for something a bit better, but there wasn't really. The tent is it's an MSR Carbon Reflex 1, so yeah, one-man tent, and it is a one-man tent. You can't sit up properly in it. The material is is very thin. Carbon poles, it comes in at just under 800 grams with everything, with the poles, with the pegs, 800 grams. Now, it used to be a mountain over there. Now it's just a load of rain, and I'm pretty sure it's coming this way. So I'm gonna have one last attempt to get some heat into that, and then I'm chuck it in, hunker down, get in my tent. So this is when the tent comes into its own really. If you had a hammock, you sort of cower under the hammock. Not quite as good. Whereas this, particularly if I had my two-man, if I had my two-man now, all my gear would be inside. So at the moment, look, I've got this gear just hanging around outside, but two-man I could have a nice vestibule. I could cook in there, although I wouldn't bloody trust that thing, but I could cook in there and just be, shut myself in for the night. Whereas with a one-man, you're a little bit more, it's good if the weather's okay, but if the weather's not good, then it's just not the same. Good thing about being bikepacking is that a lot of your bags are dry bags, so I can just leave those outside. But there we go. Right, I know that is coming my way, so, and then I'm in like Flynn. Right, what should we have for dinner? Let's see what the options are. I'm not going to have too much, I don't think. I ate a lot of crap. Well, it wasn't crap, but it's very nice. But right then, minced beef hot pot. Doesn't come out like a hot pot, I don't feel. Expedition breakfast. So I've got pasta bolognese, which I think is really good. The pasta bolognese is good, and not the hot pot. Right, get my Primus loaded up, see how long it lasts. Right then, so this is expensive Highland water. It cost me £1.60, so it better be good. Right, so I've pumped this up, and do that in the on position, or so you tip it up the other way if you want to turn it off, this way if you want to turn it on, so the pipe, the pump, goes down into the liquid. That is now filling with the liquid. Shut that off there. That's plenty. stand back. So I haven't put a heat shield around because it doesn't feel like there's any wind. There might be a little bit of wind from that direction. It should be able to last in the wind. Anyway, let's wait and see. These things do boil the water really quickly, but I think I just wasn't giving enough pumps on there to keep the pressure up. So it's starting to sizzle now, so it's heating up that little pipe, and that's gasifying the liquid that's in that bit of the pipe. A few more pumps. We're waiting until this just starts settling down. I think it's meant to make it sound very slightly different. There you go. Way we're off. Full power. Woo! They could just get a jet boil. Let's be honest. You're freaking joking me. How can it go out so quick? That's ridiculous. What the f***? I remember it being small, but not this small. So my head is very much squashed against the ceiling at the moment. And I'm going to try and drink a beer. I can't. I'll have to go out in the rain. This is really bad. I know I'm sat on my mat on my Neo Air, but Jesus. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not... In the summer, if you're going to go out hiking in the summer and you want everything to be really lightweight, then it does all that. But I wouldn't use it bikepacking. If you've got minimal gear in the summer, so you can deal with stuff outside and then just come in to sleep and then pull your stuff in. Now, I think it's all right, but no. Thank God I got a 2-man tent on the way. I've slept in this 10 times and I knew it was small, but I'm really getting hacked off by it now. Well then, take 2. GoPro batteries aren't the best in the cold. Yeah, so I made it through the night. But that tent is not the best tent, let's be honest. So like I say, I've slept in it about 10 times, 11, no, 10 and a half, let's call it. And I've always, thinking back, it's always been hot, and I've always been spending the evening outside or cooking and sitting down outside and then just climbing in it to go to sleep, literally just that, and then getting back out again. I knew it was small, but what I haven't done though is go and properly sleep in it. So I think that's tent is great if you want lightweight and you're going to go somewhere and you're either going to get straight in and go to sleep, or you're going to do your stuff, live outside and then get in and go to sleep. But if you want to get away from the midges or get away from the rain, you want to just hunker down for the night, get inside and sort your gear out, etc., that sort of tent is shockingly bad. I would never recommend it. It's you can't live in it. You can sleep in it, but you can't live in it. So it's like a bivvy, but I'd rather have a bivvy, because in a bivvy I literally just unzip it, sit up, sort my stuff out. That and a tarp, I'd rather that and a tarp. So that tent, just for me, doesn't belong in my man cave anymore. It belongs on eBay, and it will be finding itself there by the end of today, I think. When I'm in my Airbnb after I've had my steak
that thing was going to be on eBay. But I'm not saying it's a bad tent. It's just not for me. It's not the sort of tenting that I want. I don't know, maybe keep it in case, just in case, but it's a rather expensive just in case. Another thing that's worth probably reviewing is that stove, and I think the stove is probably absolutely fine. It's what I'm doing to it. I'm clearly not using it properly, or not putting enough pressure in it, or as soon as the pressure's going down really quickly. The old MSR that I used to have had a bigger bottle. Maybe it held its pressure a bit longer. I don't know, but you know, it was quite doing some crazy shit on me last night when the rain was coming down. I was trying to quickly cook. I wouldn't cook on that in a little vestibule like that, that's for sure. There was flames all over the place. So I think it's just how I've done it. But I think that stove is really bulky. I think it's fine if you were going high level winter, you were doing multi-days, you didn't know what fuel you were going to get, because that thing will burn petrol, diesel, everything pretty much. Yeah, so it's got its place, but not for the sort of trip I'm doing. I mean, I could have got away with an alcohol burner last night, providing I had a little wind shield. And they're really simple, and it's done. I would be doing a coffee right now, but I can't be asked to get out and start get that other thing moving. So an alcohol would have been great, and the number of days I've done, the alcohol fuel I would have taken would have been enough, I think, just about, for how many times I've used it, given that I used a fire last night. And the other option, though, that I think is the best option is just to take gas, or something like a Rocket Pocket 2, just a normal little burner on the top, because you don't have to be stealthy. You know, the thing I like about the alcohol burners is that they're nice and quiet and you don't attract attention. But here, nobody cares. I'm allowed to be here, so I might as well just crank up the gas and just take one of those things instead. So there we go. I would go for gas out here. At home I go for alcohol over a couple of days, but here, yeah, I'll take gas. Do you fancy some pillow talk? Right, let's talk about pillows. Sea to Summit ultralight, Aeros ultralight. I've got the regular. There's some other sizes. It's something to do with pillow lock system, so it fits into their mattress, one of their air beds, I guess. I'm not sure that side of it works particularly well, but if you want a pillow that condenses down to the smallest size, this is probably it. They really do go small. This is my second one. The first one failed, and I don't think it was I think it was the valve that failed or I damaged it or something, because I couldn't find anything online. People don't, you know, these things seem fairly reliable normally. But anyway, so it's and it's pretty comfortable as well, and it's big enough. It's not a Trekology. The Trekology pillows are much nicer, but I'd say they're about 2.5 times the size of this when they're compact down. So they're nowhere near as ultralight, if you like, but they're both really nice. The Trekology is by far the most comfortable, but this is still pretty comfy. So yeah, see some if you want something really small, they're pretty good. I'll show you how big it is in a second. Okay, there you go. That's it. It's really good. And like I say, I don't think it's quite as comfy as the Trekology. I don't think it's as comfy. It's not as comfy as the Trekology one, which is luxury, which some people need and deserve. But if you don't deserve it, or if you don't need quite that level of comfort, but you're interested in packability, then Sea to Summit is a good pillow. Right then, that's all the internals sorted. Now the bit I've really been looking forward to, and stuffing this tent into the bag for its last time, probably.
That is the place to go for a dip. It is just really deep. But you can just slide in there, swim around, back out onto that rock to bake. A little bit cold I think today, but it's probably 4 or 5 degrees I'm guessing, but I'm not going in there, no chance. Yeah, this would have been a nice spot. So it's basically, there's a track they built all the way up through here. It's all new, it's not on my map. It just goes up through here, apparently. But what a fantastic place just to spend the evening. Get a fire going, loads of dead birch around as well. One of the most frustrating bits of this, riding in Scotland in this part of the year, is 1 minute it's hot, you strip off, then it gets freezing cold, you put a layer back on, then it gets really cold, you put your second one on, then it gets hot and it's raining, and then it's cold and it's raining. I spent more time changing jackets than anything. So I think I go around the corner, so I basically carry on going up towards those mountains. Don't know if you can see them on the GoPro, but up towards those mountains, and we turn right just before them, and then head down the main road to the car. Guess I've got some climbing to do then. But then it's downhill. How far have I got? Yeah, I've got quite a lot of climbing, and unfortunately I think some of that's on the main road. That's a bit shit, I didn't realise that. That means I'm going to be slow and quite a long time on the main road. Ah, bugger, that's a shame. That was a hell of a climb. It was about, well, it wasn't about, it was 6 miles of just constant climb. Probably about 7-8%. I'm blowing out my hoop now, but downhill back to the car. Okay, so it's the final night. Last night I stayed in the hotel, which I really needed. I slept like a baby. I was exhausted. All of a sudden it all sort of came over me, and body gave up and I just kept sleeping. Had a great meal. So now I've driven part way home, and I've got another 7 hours tomorrow, but I'm just going to car camp tonight. I was thinking about doing a trail, and there are some nice trails here. I'm in Galloway Park. There are quite a few sort of 50-mile circuits that could be pretty good fun on a bike. Do one couple, come back to the car camp, and then go off and do another couple. So plus it's close to the English border, so I might actually do that next time. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now in a minute when I get home is do a recording just of a summary of all the things that I learned about the trip, about the bike, about the bags, about my planning, just to help you out if you want to do something like this. Okay, well that's the end of the video, so I really hope you got something from that and had a bit of a laugh at my cock-ups, of which there were quite a few. Quick overview then on what I thought. Scotland, amazing place to go, bike packing, particularly off-road, gravel, that sort of thing. But you need to do a lot more planning, I think, than I did. For roads, not great, because a lot of the areas are a lot of A roads, fast roads. There are some B roads, but they don't really connect very particularly well. So you can certainly go road riding there, road bike packing there. Maybe particularly out on the west coast if you're going to do something like the North Coast 500. But where I was for the off-road side of things, that area, that very mountainous area, it didn't look particularly good. But for the off-road, really good. But it all comes down to the planning, and I think there are lots of some really nice bike tracks there, some good double track sort of areas where this bike was fantastic. But there are also lots of single track, and so when you're doing your planning, personally, I really like Ride with GPS. And I should have paid more attention to the single track and been looking at the terrain. And once I knew that track that I was on, so for example the West Highland Way, then look it up on YouTube, watch other people's videos, and subsequently I watched a video about the section that I was finding particularly difficult and ended up backtracking on. And that couple who were walking it had said that it was particularly tough further on up, and then it got really steep, and then even worse going downhill at the other end, just endless, really nasty downhill. So I've learned from that. So yeah, single track, really do your research when you come into that. So I think I could have done, double the amount of planning. Have backup options as well. I had some backup options, but they weren't particularly good. And you always need to be thinking, if I do this section here, I don't know much about it. And therefore I need to have some sort of backup plan. So is there a road alternative? Is there a double track alternative? Look at heat mapping, look at other people's videos. Is there a road? Is there a railway connection, so I can just cut that out? So a lot of planning, I think, about the just in case, how am I going to get around this problem if this is a lot worse than it really is, than I think it might be. So planning, yeah, I had a lot of things I could have done better there. The bike did really well. Really impressed with the bike, had no problems with it. The problem that I gave myself was that I put too much weight onto the bike, and therefore it was capable of doing less. I was a little bit nervous about when I was going down drops for the front, not so much, but particularly for the rear, where I was putting that extra weight onto the rear, and the weight that I could have put onto the racks, because I was a little bit worried about the rear rack breaking. But the bike survived it all, and I did do quite a fast, steep descent on that first day, coming down off the high ground into the valley, and actually it did really well. It was really nice handling, really impressed. And actually the bike was carrying about 85, somewhere between 85 and 90 litres of gear with my rucksack as well. So that's a lot of equipment that I was taking. I'll come on to weight and gear in a second, but the bike did really well. The saddle was actually really comfortable. To start off with, I found it more comfortable than the Brooks. Towards the end, it started getting a little bit uncomfortable, and there's a bit of a pressure point on the front. But yeah, it was really comfy. It squeaked a little bit on the springs when it was raining, but not too bad. But yeah, I was quite impressed with it overall for a relatively cheap saddle. I think I'm going to put the Brooks onto my gravel bike. Right, so that's the bike. Gear, I took far too much gear. I could have got rid of a third to a half of the gear that I actually had, that I could have got rid of, and that would have saved myself a lot of weight, and therefore meant that I could have actually ridden things a lot better. So that single track that I was going up, if I was on a much lighter bike, I would definitely have done it, and I would love to have gone down the other side. But on this bike, because I had to do a lot of hiker bike and pushing that weight, it was just a pain in the arse, to be quite honest. And then when it comes to having to get over things, and I had to do it a few times where you got a style to get over. Right at the start, when I went under that bridge, at the bottom end of that, there's a really steep bit downhill, and then I had to lift the bike over, and that was actually really hard work, which wasn't on the video. So yeah, got to try and get that weight down. So a lot of gear that I didn't have to take. For example, water, where I took all that water carrying capacity. The water on the down tube, I never used. Throughout that entire thing, I just carried it, and I never used my water filter. I ended up loads of places to get water from cafes, from little towns, from everywhere else, and then if I really need it, I had the water filter. Unnecessary, the amount of gear I took for that. And the same with the solar panel, but I knew I just wanted to go and see and test it out and see if it worked, but I could have done that here, to be quite honest. So there we go, learned my lesson there as well. In terms of accommodation, Well, I took 2 loads of accommodation. I think hammocking in Scotland is fantastic. There are loads of opportunities, but fir trees, little forests where there are fir trees, they're generally all fenced off, and a lot of places are fenced off. But I still had no problem finding locations, although sometimes it was a little bit tight. You just have to do your research beforehand. So on the high ground, hammock's just not an option whatsoever. But on that lower ground in the valleys, there are lots of pine forests that you can get a hammock up in. So yeah, hammocking, yes, and I really enjoyed it, and I was very comfortable. But up in Scotland, when the weather gets bad, living with a hammock, it doesn't really give you much space to live. You know, if you're deciding to have a rest day, you can't really live around a hammock if it's pouring with rain, particularly the hammock that I had with a quite small tarp. So this is really when you need a tent, and I still think a tent is overall your best option, providing you can find a good pitch, and there are loads of other people with tents as well looking to pitch in the same sort of place. The one-man tent is just not for me. I think a one-man tent is great in the summer if you can sort your kit out and live outside, and you're not going to have to live in that one-man tent, so it's literally is there just for sleeping, and you want something lightweight, then brilliant. But just not for me. I don't bend as much as I used to, and getting in and out of there, in fact on all fours, I couldn't actually get in and out without knocking all the sides of my shoulders, knocking the sides of it. I just found it really tricky. Quite happy sleeping in there, no problem, but living in there, just not an option. So yeah, I would only ever really use that in the summer when I know it's going to be good weather, and I can deal with my kit outside, etc., and I don't have to live in it. So for that, now this is what I've gone for. This is, which you may recognise, but there are a few videos on YouTube at the moment. This is a Big Agnes. This is a dedicated bike packing tent. They do 2, I think. There's the Tiger Wall, which is a semi-freestanding tent and is slightly lighter. This is the Copper Spur. It's a 2-man tent. It is freestanding, which is important to me because it gives me lots more options. I think options are a really key part of doing bike packing. It's freestanding, it's slightly heavier, but it's got the normal tent has got fantastic reviews. The Copper Spur 2 tent, great reviews from lots of people. So I am very happy to be having this. I'm definitely going to be trying this out on my next bike packing trip, and I'll maybe get onto some high ground and see what it's like. Anyway, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and like, subscribe by all means. If you've got any negatives that you want to put a thumbs down, then fine. But it'd be good if you had a comment and just put in there why you think why you didn't like the video, and then I can try and improve it. So there you go. Take care. Next videos will probably be about kit, particularly about bags. I want to get all my bags. I want to pile them up there, and I want to go through them and just explain why I bought them, what I particularly like, what I particularly don't like. Some of them I've used lots. Some of them I haven't used at all yet. But I'll go through all of that. Don't know when I'll do that one, but hopefully do it soon. Anyway, take care and be safe.